After a 12-month wait, the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R is finally here on Australian soil. Now this is a car we've been fielding heaps of questions of, and they include, what's it like to drive, what's the cabin like, and what's new about it? Well, sadly we can't answer that first one, but the other two we can definitely do here today in this walk around. So let's waste no more time and jump behind the wheel of the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R to see what's new. The Volkswagen Golf R starts from $65,990 for the hatchback and $69,990 for the wagon, both before on-roads and options. As expected, both cars received the same all-wheel drive system and the same 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder with 235 kilowatts of power and anywhere from 400 to 420 Nm of torque depending on the body type. There are some mechanical differences between the hatch and the wagon, which explains that 20 Nm difference between the pair, but I'll cover those off in a sec. 0 to 100 times coming in at around 4.8 to 4.9 seconds, meaning the Golf R is still an absolute rocket on paper. Before we jump inside, there's a couple of things I want to cover off. I love Volkswagen's new treatment with this horizontal line through the grille. It's really recognisable from a distance and everyone knows you're driving a Volkswagen Golf R. Something else unique about it are these matrix LED headlights that are exclusive to this model. What they do is spray light out and isolate it around people, lights, cars or whatever it may be to make sure they're not dazzled. Really clever stuff and really important for Australia. And lastly, I really like this sort of shallow grille-esque element at the bottom. In isolation, it reminds me of a supercar. It's quite ornate and it's a little bit decorative for a Volkswagen, and I quite like that. Jumping behind the wheel of the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R for the first time reveals that it's actually like a Golf as expected. There's a pair of 10-inch displays up front, this buttonless infotainment system that has the world divided, but I'm okay with it. Wireless charger, some USB ports, and this fantastic lower center console with a very Porsche-inspired shifter. Overall, it feels quality and definitely feels worth the money. However, we're here to talk about Volkswagen Golf R specifics, and they extend past just this fancy trim. You've got this cool little blue button on the steering wheel. You press it once and it reveals a bunch of driving modes. Sport, which is new, race, and comfort. But if you give it a good long hard press, it reveals two bonus modes, drift, and a special mode with a Nürburgring symbol. That's almost irrelevant for Australia. But either way, we are super excited to try all of this out on the racetrack in the coming weeks. It's worth mentioning the couple of specification changes there's been for the Australian market with the 2022 Golf R. The Harman Kardon audio is no longer standard. It is now a $1,000 option to help with supply chain issues, and the sunroof costs $1,900 on the hatch or $2,000 on the wagon. Over in the second row, space is actually quite decent for what is a compact performance car. My knees are well clear of the seat back, my feet free to wiggle around, and my head very much clear from the headroom. Something else I'll mention is this wonderful supple Napa leather trim. Previous Golf Rs got Vienna leather as standard, which isn't as nice, whereas now all regular 2022 Golf Rs get Napa leather. Big thumbs up from me. Other appointments back here include a pair of air vents, a third zone of climate control, and a pair of USB-C ports for good measure. Boot space in the hatchback comes in at 374 litres, and for the wagon it's a massive 611 litres. Under the bonnet is where the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R is most new. This 2-litre 4-cylinder engine looks familiar, but now it has a European tune, which means it makes 235 kilowatts of power and 400 Nm in the hatchback. If you buy a wagon, you get an extra 20 Nm, and I'll quickly explain why. There are some differences between the wagon and the hatch. The hatchback lacks a petrol particulate filter, which means it gets 20 Nm less. Volkswagen just acknowledged this recently, and in turn they've given you $1,000 back in your pocket, which to me seems like fair game. Another thing new about this car is the Haldex all-wheel drive system underneath it. Not only does it have more clutches, but it's also been beefed up and can send 50% of the power to the back axle only. On top of that, the back axle now has two clutches either side, so it can send power left to right in a torque vectoring manner, like a limited slip differential. It's why this car has drift mode, and it's also why we're super keen to try it out on a racetrack soon. There are a heap of things new with the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R. That fantastic interior, its new technology, but I'm most interested in experiencing that 235 kilowatt, 400 Nm 4-cylinder turbo and that trick new Haldex all-wheel drive system. Sadly, we're not able to do that today, but soon we're going to be out on a racetrack in the coming weeks, so make sure you stay tuned to Drive.com.au to see what we have to say about the new 2022 Volkswagen Golf R.